Do you feel that no matter how much you study English, when it comes to talking, you feel like all of your ideas are stuck in your head and you can't speak well? Or maybe you have studied for a long time, but now you've gotten to a point where you just don't know how to continue, how to keep growing your English. I'm Tanya from English Challenges, and if the answers to those questions was yes, or hell yes, I have two things for you. Number one, you're not alone. This is a perfectly natural way to feel, especially when you start getting into the intermediate and advanced levels. And number two, you're not alone again because I'm here to help. Some of you may know me from Instagram, English Challenges. Some of you may know me from my weekly challenges, and others don't know me at all. So if that's the case, I'm so excited to meet you, and thank you for choosing me. Thanks for trusting me, because truly you have to trust that I'm going to help take your English to the next level. Okay, so while this course could be good for beginners, it's really designed for more intermediate, advanced, and even fluent speakers. So if you can understand what I'm saying at this pace, I would say this is a good course for you. Now, this course is for people who are learning English for real life. So if you are a student, if you need to pass a test, if you're learning English for the IELTS or any other test like that, this may not be the course for you, and I want to be completely transparent because I want you to do what's best for you. There are amazing courses for test-taking tips. This is not one of them. This course is for people who are learning English for real life. These are people who are, maybe you're learning English because you have to speak English at work. Maybe you live in an English-speaking country. Maybe you don't, but you just love the culture. That's who this course is for. This is for people who don't have a deadline, that you're really just learning English for life. You know, you want this to be part of your life and you want to feel natural and confident when you use your English. The reason I'm so excited to share this course with you is because it's the number one question that I get. I get hundreds of messages from people all over the world at different proficiency levels saying, Tanya, how can I improve my English? How can I learn more English? I feel stuck. Now, when I get this question, to be honest, the answer is really simple and really complicated because it's like asking a personal trainer at a gym, how can I lose weight? Of course, it's eating healthy and exercising. How can I learn English? The answer is also simple, study and practice. But what you need is something tailored to your needs, your personality. I'm going to help you design a plan that will keep you motivated, excited, having fun. I'm also going to teach you how to think. We're going to throw away some old notions about learning, and we're going to embrace new, fresh ideas that will help you maintain your motivation. So while you can learn English on your own, this course is special because I'm going to design a course with you, for you. Does this sound exciting? I hope so, because I think it's so much fun. I see so many learners get stuck, and you just need the right motivation, you need the right help. And this course is super comprehensive in that I'm going to share my tips, my personal experience with learners. I'm also going to give you the steps that you need to plan. In addition to that, I'm going to help you not only plan it, but make sure that you make time for it. And then I'm going to show you different activities because I can tell you, study something fun or find a good show to watch, but then that leaves you still kind of lost. So at the end of the course, I have a whole section dedicated to showing you specific activities. I'm going to actually show you what it looks like when you use a BuzzFeed quiz to improve your vocabulary. So these are all things that I'm going to teach you, show you, and help you do. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Again, thank you for trusting me. Thanks for including me in your journey. And why wait? Let's get started. The first thing you need to do is download the PDF that I made for you because you're making the plan with me right now. We'll do it together. In my experience, the most important thing to address first is mindset. And what I mean by that is I'm going to teach you how to think. And more importantly, in this case, how not to think. Now remember, this is a fresh approach for lifetime learning, so this is not going to be your traditional academic plan. And in order to fully embrace that, we need to talk. We're going to talk about specifically the word student. So right now, I can feel your energy because there are two different kinds of people. Either you reacted in an anxious way. Did you feel tense when I said student? Or did you think, oh, okay, I'm ready? So if you're like me and you had a great experience as a student and that was where you were successful, you probably have no negative emotions tied to that word. And that's okay, but you do have habits tied to that word. If you had a negative reaction, it means you probably had a negative experience. Maybe you hated school, maybe you weren't that great at being a student, so this is good for you. So this will be really refreshing. Okay, what I want you to do is think of the word student, all of your memories attached to it, and let it go. Today, you stop being an English student and you start being an English learner. And brace yourself, you are an English speaker. Teacher Tanya, no, I'm not. My English is terrible. I can't speak. I don't care. This isn't about how confident you are. This is about what you do. And you are not learning English to stay in a corner and fill out your exercises, and that's it. So when you're a lifetime learner, you need to use it. And don't worry, I'm going to help. You might think, I have no one that I can speak English to. Don't worry, I'm going to help. For now, all I need you to do is trust me and let go of being a student. Now let me tell you why. So what I find is that when people are students, it's a similar approach to a car, for example. You can study the car, you can study the aerodynamics, the color of the paint, the chemistry of the paint, I don't know, all of these different components. But a car is not made to be studied, it's made to be driven. You gotta drive it. In the same way with English, we spend so much time on grammar exercises, on prepositions, on reading and analyzing, but you don't use it. English is made to be spoken. English is global. Like, that's the cool part, and I will bet any money that that's why over half of you are studying it. It's a global language that connects you for business, for culture, pop culture, just really cool stuff. I'll be honest, it's just cool. So we're not going to just study the car or look at the car in the garage. We're going to drive it. I'm going to teach you how to use your English now that you're an English speaker and a learner and not a student. By the way, there's nothing wrong with the word student. It's just that words hold power and memory. And we're going to choose the words that help us break through our obstacles and get to the next level. Now, another thing with mindset is I want you to let go of another interesting or important component of being a student, and that's test taking. This method does not involve tests. You're not going to take a test after a certain point and think, yes, I'm fluent, I'm done. You're done when you die. That's this plan. This plan is for life. So I want you to forget about tests and scores. Now, those of you who are bad students in school, you're probably super happy. And those of you who were good students, you're probably feeling a little anxious. Like, but if I don't take a test, how will I know if I improved? Don't worry, I gotcha. I'm going to show you how to measure progress later in the course. For now, I just wanted to let you know there are no tests. This is real life. Now, the next thing you might be thinking is, this teacher probably is going to tell me grammar doesn't matter, but I know I need it. No, of course grammar matters, but we're going to approach grammar differently. I don't really care about labels for the sake of labels, because in real life, when you're having a conversation, you're not going to stop and think, do I use the past progressive here? You don't have time in a real life conversation. So my goal with grammar is to help you tell a story. So I'm going to teach you how to think about it. Like, if you want to tell a story about a certain kind of event in the past, then you look up the grammar that you need for that with the goal of telling that story. For example, punctuation. Oh, punctuation. I love it. And it's the one thing I see all the time that's not being valued and that's not being used. So I'm going to teach you why punctuation is important, not because I'm a grammar nerd, which I am, but because it changes your story. If you want to be clear and understood, that's why you use punctuation. So this is the kind of connections that we're doing. We're not studying grammar and punctuation to pass a test or do an exercise correctly, but it's because I want you to tell a story correctly. I want someone to understand your text message or your email. See? So this is how we're going to change the way we think about learning. Now, the other component of studying in the traditional sense is that you memorize. And I do believe that there is a time and place where that's useful, but this is not it. So when you're at this level and you're learning English for life, memorizing doesn't help you. Again, that specific kind of recall is not easy to access when you're having real life conversations or when you're watching a TV show or sending a quick email to a colleague. So instead, when we do learn vocabulary, I'm going to teach you things like using personal examples. If you like making flashcards, that's fine. You can still use that technique. But I don't want you to put a new word on one side and the definition on the other. I want you to put a new word on one side and then a sentence using it in an example about you, about your real life. This is the way that I teach my learners when I give classes to learn prepositions, to learn vocabulary, to learn phrasal verbs and collocations, because it stops being about, am I memorizing a phrasal verb? It's about finding an example in your real life, and that emotional, personal connection, that's what your brain will recall in the moment. So it takes away the middleman, that I like to call it, the middle knowledge holder, and you immediately connect your need, your memory, your personal example with what you're saying in the moment. So it's a much faster process. It's a much faster way to remember the right thing at the right moment. And another really important component about the mindset is that you have to, and this is going to be an effort for some of you, you have to accept that you won't be perfect. You have to accept you won't understand or know everything. I want you to accept, wait for it, that you're going to make mistakes and that your mistakes are okay. So I want you to relax your shoulders. I can feel some of you tensing up. Relax. Because this is a big part of a healthy mindset for learning for life. You need to be okay with making mistakes. Don't wait until you know all prepositions and how to use them before you speak. You just need to do it. And when you observe native speakers, you'll notice that we make mistakes. I make mistakes. This video that I made for you, I had to film it 5 times because I kept making mistakes. And that's okay. So I want you to be okay with that. I want you to be okay with, oh, are you ready? Your accent. Yeah, talking about you. Your accent. Although accent reduction lessons and accent reduction techniques are helpful, I want you to be okay with it. You know, I see people that really judge themselves harder than they are judged by society. Like, you might think, oh, they're going to know I'm a foreigner, or I'm going to be judged. Honestly, it doesn't matter. No matter how much you try, there are very few people that can completely eliminate their accent. In fact, even as a native speaker, we have biases about regional accents. Someone from the South in the US has a different accent and a different judgment than someone from the Northeast or someone from the West Coast. So even within the language itself for native speakers, there are differences. And that's not the most important part. If you have a little accent, I'll be honest, most people find it very endearing. And I like to think of it as wearing it with a badge of pride, because that means that you know more than one language. That's amazing. A lot of you watching this are multilingual, you're polyglots. So a little bit of accent, I think, is a point of pride, but I want you to think of it that way. Now, I'm not saying don't reduce your accent. Of course, we're going to work on that too, but it shouldn't be shameful. So I want you to think about that. Embrace it, love it. Because at the end of the day, part of that has to do with loving yourself. And self-love is a big part of language learning because it affects our confidence. Okay?
Which of these does not belong? A, I need to use what I learn. B, I will not memorize vocabulary. C, I should never make mistakes. Or D, I will appreciate my accent. If you said C, I should never make mistakes, correct! You should make mistakes and you will make mistakes. And I promise it will be okay. Good work!
The next thing I want you to think about is letting go of, just like you let go of the word student, letting go of a more academic approach. So, of course, in the resources document that I shared with you, there are a lot of grammar websites, English-specific resources, but I want you to go beyond that. Have fun. One of my favorite things for language learning is karaoke. I want you to sing your heart out in English. I want you to, if you like drawing, I want you to make a comic book using English. If you like TV shows, maybe you can write a summary about your favorite show. You don't have to write a summary about an academic book or about a famous literature book. I mean, that's not bad, don't get me wrong. If you can and you want to, go for it. But allow yourself the opportunity to do things that are just fun. Things that you would think are fun even if it wasn't in English, like that kind of stuff. Other examples could be, if you're a creative writer, write short stories in English. Start with a paragraph story and then you can work your way up. If you're passionate about photography, take an online course about photography by an English instructor. Maybe you like making crafts or doing science experiments. Go on YouTube, find a video about how to make a craft and do it, but with an English instructor. So then along the way, you're learning vocabulary that is about things that you're interested in, and it's fun. So I want you to be open-minded about using other resources, and I'll help you along the way, and I have tons of recommendations for you.
If you haven't done so already, download the PDF for this course, and I want you to fill out the top section and brainstorm about different activities that you enjoy doing. Like we said earlier, maybe it's photography, maybe it's origami, perhaps you love singing pop songs. Whatever it is, nothing's too crazy. Think about what's fun for you, and then you're going to use this list to find activities that you think are fun, but find them in English. So now we're going to combine things that you love with the language that you love or that you're learning to love. Good luck!
So now that you know a little better about how to think going into this course and the rest of your life, it's really important to know what kind of learner you are. So in the PDF that I made for you, at the bottom, there's a section that says My Favorite Resources. So in there, look for the section that says Learning Styles. And I have a lot of links to quizzes where you can take them and learn your learning style. So these are called multiple intelligences. And these are amazing because I'm just really surprised that so many people go their whole lives without understanding how they learn. And this again has to do with traditional learning, where you sit in a classroom and you have to do what you're told. But now you don't. Now we can design something that's specifically for you. When you take these tests, and I have some at different levels, so if your English is very strong, do whichever one you want. If your English is not as strong, if a quiz seems too hard, try a different link, because I have some that are a little more intermediate level and some that are advanced. Now, when you learn about your learning style, you'll find out, are you a visual learner? And if you are, then you know that you need more pictures, more videos. Some people learn better by listening, so podcasts would be amazing for you. Other people learn by doing, so maybe building something as you're learning, or like we said before, watch a video about how to make something. People that are tactile, they learn better when they can feel, they can touch. Other people learn when they're moving. So some of you dance. Put an English video on and dance the whole time, or watch a dancing video in English. So learning how you learn will help you stay excited, because you'll understand, oh, this is why I'm always bored studying flashcards. It's just writing, that's boring. For a visual learner, you would probably do better by adding pictures to your flashcards or watching videos. Okay, so now you know how to think, what not to think, and it kind of gives you an idea about what to expect with this method and this course. So now go take the learning quiz that's best for you. Remember, if it's too hard, pick a different link and figure out what kind of learner you are. This will help us with goal setting later on and resources that are exciting for you. Good luck.
What type of learner are you? So remember to go to the resources page and take a learning style quiz. This is really important because if you know how you learn best, you can pick the best resources for your learning. And when you find out what kind of learner you are, remember to put it in the PDF so we can keep track of your results and design the best learning plan for you.
The first section of your English Action Plan PDF is about your goal. So right now, don't write anything yet, just think about it. So if I right now ask you, what is your goal with English? Take 2 seconds. What would you say? So if your response included the words fluent or perfect or no mistakes, no. We're going to have some real talk. And the real talk is fluency is not a good goal. It's also not the right goal. That's really broad. What does fluency mean? I'm a native speaker and I'm fluent. But if you tell me to give a presentation about biomechanical engineering, I don't know what words to use. So think about it that way. If you say fluent, you'll never be happy because what does that mean? Does that mean that you won't be happy until you know every word and in the English dictionary? They're always adding to that. So already that's not a realistic goal. Does that mean that you can talk about anything, anywhere with anyone? Why? You're not going to need that. So for this goal, I want you to be specific. And the reason you're going to be super, super specific, and I'm going to teach you what I mean by that, is that we're going to reverse engineer. The rest of this course is about reverse engineering. That means that we think about the goal first, the end, and then everything we design is to achieve that. And it can be more than one goal, by the way. So for example, if you say, I want to be able to speak with native speakers confidently. Okay, that's a little more specific, but native speakers where? About what? For example, do you live in an English-speaking country? Okay, let's say you do. Do you want to speak to people at work? Do you need that? Do you want to feel comfortable speaking to people at the grocery store? Do you have kids? Do you want to speak to other parents when you go pick up your kids from school? Do you see where I'm going with this? I want you to get really specific. So native speakers, why, where, and about what? If you don't live in an English-speaking country, are you going to run into native speakers? You know, like what does that mean to you? Or is really your goal to be able to understand native speakers because you love watching TV shows? So that's different. Okay, so really think about what you want, why you want it, where you would use it. Another example is you want to have a better life. Well, okay, so how will English help you have a better quality of life? Does that mean that you want to apply for a job in an English-speaking country or an English-speaking company? So do you see how that is totally different than you want to travel more? So that's different English. This is where our reverse engineering is really important because the kinds of activities that you're going to do are very different if you're worried about job interview and work English than you would do if you're thinking about traveling. So get specific. And if you're thinking about traveling, is it because you already travel? Is it because you would like to travel in the future? Or do you have a plan to go somewhere soon? Give me details. And maybe you don't need English for work. Maybe you don't even like to travel, but English is intellectually stimulating for you. Or you just really love the culture. You love reading blogs in English. You love watching American movies, or you love watching British TV shows. Notice how specific I got. British TV shows, American movies. Remember, everything we're going to plan is going to be about this goal. So if you like specifically, maybe you like both. You just like English whether it's British or American or Australian. So that's fine, but be specific with, is it TV shows, movies, Netflix, is it HBO? Give me as many details as you can. Now, if it's specific to a culture or a country, include that because that will affect the resources that we pick later on. Okay, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to feel excited because maybe you've never thought about this because you've always thought about, I'm going to study to be fluent. But now that we know that's not really an effective or productive approach, this might take you a minute and that's okay. Like really think about what makes you tingle. So when you think about watching movies in English without captions one day, does that get you excited? When you think about maybe meeting new people, when you're on a tour bus, traveling in New York City next year, does that get you excited? If you feel excited about something, that is a good goal. So I'll leave you with that. Take a couple of minutes and then press play again.
Now that you have all of those examples and you probably have so many ideas and I hope you're full of excitement, go to your PDF and write down your goals. Remember, write down what's good for you right now. These goals are not forever. They're definitely just for now. As you grow, as you get older, as you change, your goals will also change. Good luck.
Okay, so I'm really proud of you for taking the time to write a realistic and specific goal or goals. Now, part of goal setting, since we're not taking tests, since this is a very freeing approach and method, and this is for the rest of your life, I still believe, because I know I need it, you need a sense of accomplishment, satisfaction, and personally, I really believe in rewards. So since you're not in a school and you're not going to get, an A plus 100 written on a test or a sticker or a certificate, we need to make sure that you're motivating yourself. So in addition to goals, I want you to think about rewards. And we want short-term and long-term rewards. And it could be something as silly maybe or as tiny as if you complete your goals every day for 2 weeks, you will buy yourself a McDonald's French fries because it's American, I don't know. And I think their fries are delicious. Or maybe you're on a tight budget, which means maybe you don't have a lot of money right now for classes, but every day that you do what you planned, you put $1 or €1 or a peso, whatever your currency is, in a jar, in an envelope, or from your bank account. You keep track of what you did and it's $1 per activity or per day. And that way, when you have enough to pay for a class online or to pay for a class in person, that's your reward. Now that serves two purposes. Number one, you have that daily reward system of like, ooh, I'm going to put $1 in my reward jar. Then you're also preparing, you're learning English every day. So when you can afford a class, you'll actually know enough English to use that class wisely. So this helps. Maybe you have a big budget. So you think, okay, if I'm able to finish reading Eat, Pray, Love by the end of the year, I will travel to one of the countries in the book. So you can even do something like that, where it just depends on your budget. And even if you don't have any money or you don't want to spend money on this, get creative. The whole goal is to create an environment where you want to learn. And these are tiny rewards or big rewards, depending on your budget, that you can change as you grow, as you get older. Maybe McDonald's French fries is something exciting right now, but in 20 years, you won't like it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe buying an English magazine is something that'll be cool then. Or maybe going to the movies to watch a movie in English. So these are goals and rewards that can change as you change. So take a moment before we continue and fill out some ideas for rewards in your PDF. Now you might get more ideas as we continue with the course. Great. Remember, it is editable. That means you can change it. Right now, I want you to at least get started. Put something that makes you feel like, okay, this would get me excited to actually study something every day. I want you to create an environment that is positive, conducive to learning, that makes you excited, because you're going to do this for days, weeks, years, decades. We gotta make it fun.
It's time to get out our English Action Plan PDF and write down some reward ideas. Remember, think big and think small. Include some rewards that are free or relatively inexpensive, and then include some bigger ones. Even if you don't have money for those now, it's aspirational. It will help you work towards a bigger goal in the future as well. Have fun with it.
A question I get asked a lot, in addition to how can I learn English, is what should I learn first? What should I focus on? Reading, writing, listening, speaking? And my answer is yes. Yes, all of them. This is like going to a gym and you want to have an amazing, healthy body and you want to get stronger, but you only work out your biceps. You're going to look silly. The rest of your body isn't going to change, and then you're going to have these big bulging biceps. That's not a realistic approach. So just as in the gym, you have to work out your whole body, in English, you have to work out everything. And the good thing is that they're all actually connected. It's just that when we take tests or when we're learning English in school, for some reason, it's always divided into those 4 categories. But in the real world, all 4 categories are one. So we're going to take a really well-rounded approach, and you will strengthen all 4, but a lot of the activities that I have suggested for you include 2 to 4 of them in the same activity. Are you ready?
What is the most important skill? A, reading, B, writing, C, listening, or D, speaking? I hope you said all of them. I'm just checking to make sure you were listening. Okay, let's continue with our course. Good work so far.
Let's start with reading. Now, one of the most important things when planning activities to strengthen your skills is you have to have little ones and big ones, because some days you're going to be really busy and it's going to feel very difficult to even find 1 minute to practice your English. And other days you might have 3 hours. So I want you to always be prepared and have activities planned so that if you happen to have an hour, you're like, oh, instead of sitting there thinking, what should I do? And wasting time, you have things planned and you can go to your list and say, oh great, I have an hour, I can do this activity. So with reading, for example, plan little things. Things that I recommend would be horoscopes. And by the way, I have links to all of this in the My Favorite Resources link at the bottom of the PDF. For those of you who don't know, that's like when you have, if you're a Pisces, if you're born in a certain month, it tells you your future. I say it in quotes because they're very general. And the reason I like these, because horoscopes tend to write in the future tense. Today you will meet the love of your life, or today you might feel a little sad. So there are a lot of great adjectives, emotional vocabulary, and the horoscope link that I have for you has different sections. So you have the general, future tense, general day stuff, and then you have a section for love, money, business. So as you can see, these are even more specific vocabulary opportunities. And that's usually something, depending on the horoscope, I would probably say it will take you between 2 to 8 minutes, 10 max. So that's a good kind of small one. For a super tiny one, when you only have 1 minute, what I do with a lot of my learners is quotes. So if you like motivational quotes, if you like humorous quotes, if you like love quotes, if you're a romantic, these are usually 1 to 2 sentences, and they're usually written in very casual English, and they're great to do when you're, I don't know, when you're drinking your coffee in the morning or before you go to sleep. Now the trick with these, because it's so small, you read it once silently, and then the second time, read it out loud. And then if you have a few seconds, read it again. Because what happens is the first time you read it, you're understanding the structure and vocabulary. Then when you read it out loud, you're practicing on your fluency. But a lot of times you're not very mindful, you're just trying to do the action. The third time when you read it out loud, then you're reading, but you're actually mindful, you understand what you're saying. So these are 3 different levels, and I've done it with my learners, and honestly, it will never take you more than 30 seconds. So on busy days, when you have less than a minute, this is your way to have success for English that day. Now, for a longer or bigger project, I would recommend reading a book. Now, for reading a book, there are a few suggestions. So I personally always recommend read a book with the audio. So you want to buy the unabridged audio and the actual book. So when you're listening to it and you're reading it, number one, it helps you read faster and more fluidly. So instead of reading word for word, which can be really disruptive and kind of boring, you're listening to it being read fluidly so you're able to understand the story and the context better. It helps you read faster, which means you'll feel more success because you'll be able to read more and more books, which will help you want to read more often. So notice everything we do, it's about frequency and making it exciting and making you motivated. Now, the other thing with books is join a book club. So check out my Facebook page. We have a book club on Saturdays. Those of you who need structure, not everybody does, but if you need like, oh, I just need someone to tell me when to do something by, doing a book club is really great because you have these micro assignments, read 10 chapters, and then you get to know people in the book club and you're excited to go talk to them, discuss the book. It's a great way to work on your writing skills. A lot of the book clubs, or the one that I have, is with chatting. Some might be in person, some might be video. Find whatever's right for you. And with books, again, do something that you like. If you love fiction, don't read a biography in English. You already don't love that style in your native language, so be mindful about what's fun. And don't look up every word. In fact, I almost would say don't look up any word unless you absolutely need to. Remember, you're not going to take a test. No one's going to ask you what that word means, so relax. Try to enjoy the book. Now, something I do like, for example, if you see an adjective that you think, oh, okay, I kind of know what that means. That's kind of a cool word. Great, highlight it, write that one down, and try to use it. So this is where it's different from a school where you're going to read a book, give a summary, pass a test, versus this real life method where you're going to read a book, talk about it with people, share your opinions. By the way, if you don't find a book club, another great thing to do is read the book and then write a review to put online. What you thought about the book. It just gives you a sense of like, ooh, I'm writing in English and it's public. So if that doesn't make you nervous, try that one. And you get to learn new phrases and new words, and it's just cool because you're learning, again, in context. We stop memorizing individual things. And as you're hearing English and reading it, you're also starting to think differently. You're being exposed to different sentence structures and adjectives, like we said, descriptions. So it can be a really cool way to expand your knowledge, your vocabulary, and inspire you when you're speaking in ways that you don't even know are happening.
I'm going to show you how to use the quote activity to practice your English in less than 30 seconds every day. So right now, read this silently to yourself. And now read it out loud with energy, theatrically. All right, and now listen to me do it, and I want you to read it with this energy level every day. Never stop learning, because life never stops teaching. It might feel silly, but I promise it will help your confidence and fluidity. All right, there you go. You have a 30-second reading and speaking activity that you can do every day.
Now the next skill is writing. With writing, again, I have a few tips. You can do a journal about your day. And the reason I like that one is because you can, if you only have a minute, like I said, on a busy day, write one sentence. Today was crazy. I was super busy today. I'm really upset at my partner today. Whatever you need. It can be about what you did, what you feel, what you're thinking about for tomorrow. Now, if you have more time and journal about what you did, you can take it to the next level by maybe saying a sentence about something happened yesterday, what happened today, what you're going to do tomorrow. So then it's the past, the present, and the future tenses. Now, no one's going to correct these, and that's not the point. You might be thinking, but what if I'm making mistakes and I don't even know, so I'm just writing them over and over again. So if you notice something like, I want to talk about tomorrow, but I'm not sure how, then you know, okay, I need to go practice the future tense a little bit. If you're writing and you're also reading a book or watching a show and you start noticing the way they talk about the present or past or future, then you can say like, oh, I think I said this wrong. Let me fix it. So don't correct your past work, but rather fix it in the moment and for future journal entries. Now, another thing you can do, for example, maybe you're in the fashion industry or you are in science or you are, I don't know, anything really, and you want to make sure that you can write about your industry or your field, then what I would recommend for you is copying. Now, I don't mean publishing copied work. That's plagiarism. I mean, take an article that you like. Maybe if you are a PhD candidate, for example, and you're writing about psychology, find some psychology papers or articles or blog posts, and I want you to copy them. Also, figure out how you learn best. Do you learn better by handwriting or by typing? For me, typing helps me remember faster, whereas handwriting, I get bored. So figure out what's good for you. And you can copy, I would recommend, honestly, just copy 1 paragraph per day. So that will probably take you maybe 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how fast you type or write. So this is a good activity when you have a little bit of time. Don't write the whole article because you'll stop paying attention. And everything that I want you to do, you need to be very mindful. You need to be present. Because when you're copying that paragraph, you're writing correct English. And I want you to pay attention. Where does that person use commas? What kind of sentence structure does someone who's writing about psychology use? Or you might realize, okay, there are a lot of words I don't know in this paragraph, and I'm a psychologist, so that means that you really need to focus on vocabulary development for your industry. And if you're learning English for fun and not for your field, if you like a TV show, find an article about that TV show. If you love style or fashion, pick an article from Vogue or a fashion blog and copy that. So be open-minded, find things that you either need or that you just really like. And again, don't copy the whole thing. Even if you have a full hour, most people will not be able to pay attention for that long. So when you do have a full hour, do different things. Just copy 1 paragraph and then move on to something different. Now, another thing that I love, because I am obsessed with Instagram, and those of you who follow me on Instagram know this, use social media. If you already are on Facebook every day, or you check your Instagram, if you follow me, if you are on YouTube, what I want you to do is comment. Now, the great thing about this is nobody cares because it is the internet. There are so many people on there. If you make mistakes, I'll be honest, most people aren't going to read your comment, which is good. It's less pressure. And if you're following English teachers like myself, we design things for you to write. So I always have writing prompts or questions, so you're guided. If you are not following English teachers and you're watching a video about cats, then comment and say, oh, I have a cat and it's so cute. I want you to get over keeping English to yourself and just get in the habit of putting it out there. I'll do this sometimes with French to practice, and the first few times I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm making mistakes. I don't know what I'm saying. But the more you do it, it feels kind of cool. And you pay attention to what you want to say, because then you might think, oh, I went on an amazing vacation to Hawaii and I wanted to comment about it and I didn't know how to talk about being in a resort. So then you can go back, find some vocabulary, figure out what you need to learn or strengthen, and that way you identify your weaknesses and you immediately grow from that. And remember, have fun. Follow English teachers, sure, but also follow other people and just comment. Honestly, I'm on Instagram every day, so that's why that's a great place for me to practice when I need to comment or learn things. Find what medium works for you. Maybe you love Twitter, maybe you love Pinterest. Whatever it is, the beautiful thing is there are always comment sections. So use those to improve your writing.
Let's start right now. Find me on your favorite social media platform, go to my most recent post, and leave a comment. I know it might feel a little weird or might make you a little nervous at first, but I promise it's so much fun and it will help you use English and start interacting in the real world. I can't wait to meet you.
Next is listening. So listening is wonderful. but it also tends to be more passive. So I want to make sure that when you're using listening or strengthening your listening skills, you also connect it to reading, writing, or speaking, and I'll show you how. For example, with a TV show, use English subtitles. So that way you're reading English and you're watching it. Now, if you're thinking, oh, but subtitles, I heard that those are bad if you're learning English. No, I love subtitles and I'm a native speaker. They're not bad. The great thing about them is they're an opportunity to check your listening skills. So if you don't have an English teacher or you don't want to pay for one, this is a great way to check where you are in your growth. It also helps you know if a show is good for learning or just good for fun. So what I would recommend is don't put the captions on for the first 5 minutes. And then rewind the episode or go back to the beginning, put the captions on, and check how much you understood correctly. If you didn't understand anything, then that show is either good for fun or it's something you need to think about, and maybe pick a show where they speak a little slower or they use words that you are more familiar with. And this is how you can gauge that, how you can understand if it's a good learning show or a good culture show just for fun. Another thing that's amazing and that I'm currently very, very, very into are podcasts. So I have a podcast, there are other English podcasts out there, but there are also podcasts about everything. I'm serious. There are podcasts about aliens, about business, about hair, like whatever you like, whatever you're into, there's a podcast for it. Similar to what we talked about with the TV show, be mindful of what you understand. I don't believe that just listening to a language is going to help your listening skills. I mean, I've listened to French podcasts or songs, and if they're too advanced, it does not help me. So for me, maybe I'm just not an auditory learner, maybe you are, so this is where learning styles will help you. But I recommend find something where you understand at least a little so you can grow. So if you've never done this, then I recommend in the resources list, check for podcasts that are for English learners. They tend to speak like this, very clearly, a little bit slower. Start with those, and then you can try out, or if you're more advanced, try other non-English learning podcasts. These are great if you have a commute, if you're in a car or on the bus or train for an hour coming to and from work. There's your English practice time. Anything you can include with a habit or something that you're already doing so it's not extra time is a wonderful activity for your life. YouTube is another great place because it's free. There are a lot of English teachers on YouTube. There are other topics that are just interesting or fun or useful. And with YouTube, there are also captions usually. So if you don't have time to watch a 30-minute show, then remember, allow success. That's not an excuse. If you don't have 30 minutes, maybe you have 5 minutes for a short YouTube video. So these are things that you can do depending on your schedule. And if you have more time, watch a longer video. And then when you're finished, comment. So whenever you watch a YouTube video, comment. See how we're tying listening to writing to reading? The more of these skills you can do in one activity, the better. Now, with listening, I get a lot of questions about the accent. People asking me, which is the best accent for learning English? What should I do? What should I listen to? Now, my answer is, for listening, listen to all of them. It does not matter. You're not going to change the way you speak because you're listening to a certain speaker. Like when I watch Sherlock Holmes, I'm not going to speak like a British person right after. But what it will do is it will help you feel comfortable with different accents because we all say things differently from different countries and we have different slang and different expressions. So this will increase your comfort level with native speakers. Now with the accent part, I'll get to that because where I do think it matters is with speaking and with your selection of teacher. So we'll get to that next. Another activity that you can do, remember when we connect it with things that we do normally and it doesn't take extra time, there's a better chance for success. So something that I like to do is listen to night meditations. I go on YouTube, I look up guided meditation for sleeping, guided meditation for insomnia or whatever. And what these are is they're really relaxing videos and there's usually a speaker guiding you, so telling you like relax, and they have a smooth voice. So this is a cool way, not only do you get to sleep faster and better, but you're also going to sleep with English. So again, think outside the box. Like that's a really cool way where you get lots of benefits. You're listening, you're going to sleep better. So don't be afraid to try something different. And if you don't know where to start on YouTube, don't worry, I gotcha. So I made an ebook of some of my favorite YouTube English teachers. Feel free to download it, check it out, follow, and comment. Now, when you're listening, I don't want you to sit there passively. You know, if you're going to take the time to do a listening activity, I want you to be observant, especially for those of you who think, I want to sound more natural. I want to speak like a native speaker. This is where you learn. Listen to how they say things. For example, right now, if you notice, I didn't say, I want to sound like a native speaker. I said, I wanna. So that's an informal contraction. When you notice those things, that's where you can start using them. So then you sound more like a native speaker. So wanna, do you wanna, instead of do you want to. Now, when you're picking up on these little things, also make sure you're noticing the context. Are they using that with their friends at a cafe? Are they using that at an office? You want to make sure that you understand where it's appropriate to use specific slang or certain contractions. And when you're being that observant, you get a lot more out of it. So if you're listening to a 5-minute video, if you just play it and you're not paying attention, that's fine. Like that's still good. It's some exposure to English. But if those 5 minutes, you're really listening and you're paying attention and you're realizing how they link their words, how they pronounce certain things, how they speak casually versus how they speak formally, this will take those 5 minutes and make them even more valuable. So that's always an option.
Practice listening to these popular informal contractions right now, and I want you to practice repeating after me as well. And then try using them the next time that you're texting or the next time that you're talking. Ready? Wanna. I don't wanna buy anything. Gonna. I'm gonna go. I have work early tomorrow. Have to. Do I have to get her a present? I don't even like her. All right, good work.
Now the last one is also my favorite. So personally, I think reading, writing, and listening are all training for speaking. Now, when I took French in school, I took French for years, and I don't remember ever speaking or having a conversation. So that was a million years ago, and now I've forgotten all of it because I never used it. And that's where I have a problem with some traditional methods, where it's just about reading, writing, listening, and then you can't talk. That, to me, is the whole purpose of language, and it's how to communicate. So all those 3 skills are amazing as part of your speaking plan. That's why I wanted to tell you earlier that you were an English speaker. I don't want you to learn English the rest of your life and never be able to talk to somebody. Like, that's really upsetting to me. I can't have that. I want you to be able to be free. And whether that means talking to a teacher on Skype, whether it means traveling to an English-speaking country and meeting new friends, whatever that looks like for you, that's our goal, communicating. Are you ready for some tips? Now, when you're listening, I think you should expose yourself to all accents. But when you're training for speaking, pick one. And even if you can't tell the difference, it does make a difference to the people listening to you. So if you're using a little bit of British, a little bit of American, it sounds weird to a native speaker. And think about your own language. Like, I also speak Spanish, and for me, the Spanish in Argentina is very different than the Spanish from where my family's from in Mexico. And that would sound really funny if somebody used like the S from Spain, the órale from Mexico, the lluvia from Argentina. When I hear those mixed, it's kind of weird. So in the same way, when you're speaking, pick an accent and focus on that one. When you're listening, listen to all of them. This also plays into what you're learning, because if you're focused on, let's say, the American accent, you're also focused on American word choice, slang, and contractions. Like in England, they say lift, but in America, we say elevator. Everywhere else, they say queue. In America, we say line. So when you're focused on one accent, you're also focused on one culture, on one set of words that we use frequently. That's why with listening, it'll help you feel comfortable with anything, but speaking, it will give you consistency, which also gives you confidence. Now, when you're practicing your speaking skills, especially conversational English, if you have a dialogue to practice, which means a conversation with two parts, if you're practicing with a video, I want you to practice both sides of the conversation, because I see students who learn English, but they only know how to answer questions, and you don't know how to ask questions, so you miss out on a really fun opportunity for small talk. You don't want people to feel like they're interviewing you. So I want you to feel comfortable answering questions, but also know how to ask them. And that will give you the chance to feel comfortable in conversation instead of just a little interaction and then you both are bored and you have nothing to say. So practice both sides. Also practice in front of a mirror or take your phone or your computer and record yourself, because I want you to see what you look like, especially your listening face, because this is what happens. You say what you practice, like, yeah, it's a great day today. And then when the other person's speaking, your face goes from like practiced, to, because you don't realize that you're used to making this like serious listening face. And that feels kind of awkward for the other person. So when you record yourself, it's really cool because you can see what you look like and you can practice. Okay, when I'm listening to someone, relax my face muscles, smile a little bit, and that looks natural. So this will help you have more genuine, more natural interactions. Okay, so the other thing that I'm super excited to share with you is, if you have the opportunity to pay a teacher for help, wonderful. This will still help you. And if you don't, and you're like, how can I correct my English if I can't afford or I don't have time to take classes with a native speaker? I gotcha. So what you do is pick a TV show or a YouTube clip that has a really clear pace. So something that you can understand well. And what you do is you pick a sentence of your favorite character or person. You look at the sentence, listen to them say it, read the captions, pause the video. Take your phone, do a voice memo or a video, whatever you want, record yourself saying that line so you can read it in the captions, but then don't just read it, look away and say it again. Because when we read, we speak differently than when you speak from memory. So say it again. Then what you do is you listen to yourself, and if you're thinking, I hate the sound of my voice, who cares? It's you listening to it. So listen to it and then listen to the TV or YouTube clip. Compare. So I want you to think, okay, do you sound like this person? If you do, fabulous, you're doing well. If you don't, identify where. Is it every time that you have to say the letter R? Is it that the person links their words and it sounds smoother? And when you say it, it sounds more like duh, duh, duh. If you notice it's a letter R, then you can practice with R sounds. Go on YouTube, American R, find videos that will help you train. So this will help you to improve your own English, and again, focus on the accent that you want, and you immediately notice what you have to improve. Honestly, if you just practice one line and you include saying it a couple of times, and you include listening, and you include looking up a video to strengthen like whatever your weakest point is, it'll still take you less than 5 minutes. So this is an activity you can do in less than 5 minutes, or if you have more time, do it for 20 minutes. I don't recommend doing anything for more than 20 minutes. If you have a full hour free for English, then do 3 20-minute activities. So you want to make sure it's always interesting and fresh. Otherwise, our brain goes into autopilot and you're not learning as effectively. Are you so excited? Now you know how to correct your speaking. Yay! Now, the other thing for speaking is a lot of people that I work with, when you speak, you immediately start translating, or you think about the structure or what you want to say. And I need you to stop doing that because it hurts the way you speak. You speak more robotically, or you have no energy because you're just thinking about the grammar. Instead, I want you to visualize. So something I do with my learners is I tell them, tell me a story, but think about it. Like if you're telling me a story about the beach, I want you to feel the sand on your toes. I want you to remember, notice I'm closing my eyes, like truly visualize, feel the sea breeze and tell me about it. And as soon as people start doing that, I see their body relax. It might take you a little bit to think about the words, but when you're visualizing, you relax and then you have a different sense of purpose. And I can also tell the second they go from the memory to focusing back on English, the body tenses, and then the sound of the language, the story becomes more awkward. It's just a little choppier. So this is something that takes a lot of practice, and I just want you to keep doing it. Look in the mirror when you're telling a story. Just say something that happened at work, but practice visualizing it. It can be a story that's 20 seconds long. And when you finish, then you'll know. Were you able to visualize the whole time? What was difficult? Like, did you know the vocabulary, but you weren't sure what tense to use? Or did you know what you wanted to say, but you didn't have the words for it? So you identify the weakness and you go and strengthen it. Look up vocabulary words for work. Look up tenses for maybe the past tense or a habit that you did and you don't do now. So this will help you immediately strengthen and do better stories, because this is all about communicating. So storytelling is a huge part of speaking. When you're having small talk, when you meet a new person, when you're traveling, what do? We tell stories. So for me, storytelling and confidence and public speaking skills are all really, really important for speaking. Which brings me to my next point. When you're looking for things to improve your speaking, I want you to use things that are not English related. I recommend looking up public speaking skills, charisma, how to tell an interesting story. These videos are designed for native speakers because, believe it or not, speaking is actually very difficult for a lot of native speakers. People get shy, not because of the language, but because of the communication. That means there are tons of resources out there for you. Learn to be more enigmatic, to be interesting. You know, these are things that will help your confidence, not just in English, but in social settings, which is the goal. And my last tip for you is, and this is something that always makes people feel awkward in my classes at first, and then they love it. Be theatrical. When you're reading out loud, if you're reading the quotes out loud, if you're reading your book out loud, whatever it is you're doing, if you're not reading it, if you're just speaking, I want you to exaggerate. For example, if you're talking about your day and you say, today was really busy at work. I had a lot of client meetings. The grammar is correct, my speech is correct, but it's boring. Boring. Now look at the difference. Today was so busy. I had a ton of client meetings. Okay, now I don't want you to say it like that when you're in public, but when you practice it that way, immediately my body language changed. When I first said it, I was just calm, serious, whatever. When I got theatrical, my hands came up, my body came forward, my voice was louder. So that's when you're practicing from a scale of 1 to 10 in energy level. I want you to practice at a 12 or 15. And there's a reason. In real life, when you have a conference call, when you meet someone in person, when you're talking to someone, you get a little nervous or you start thinking about the English part of it and your energy level will drop. On average, I find that your energy goes from the 12 that you practice or the 15 to like a 6, if you're lucky. So can you imagine if you're practicing at like a 7 or 8 energy level, in real life, that's going to translate to like a 3 or 4. And that's going to make you look insecure. So if you're learning English for business, this is the difference between training your English in a way that will help you close a deal and make money or lose a client. It's going to feel silly. If you have family at home, they're going to laugh at you and think, what is he doing? But I promise you it works. So when you practice speaking on your own, I want you to practice slowly, clearly, like you're on stage. Project your voice, move your body, relax your face. All of this will help you look normal in real life. I know that sounds weird, right? But it's true, because when your energy lowers, you'll actually be at a really natural confidence level. All right, so I know I gave you a lot of tips. I hope you were taking notes. You have this video so you can rewatch it as much as you need and start implementing this. Whenever you're planning later on, or later next month, or later this year, when you're planning your new strategies, watch this video again and get re-inspired. Maybe you really remembered one technique, but you forgot another one. So the more you watch this video, the more you'll remember, like, oh yeah, Tanya said to be theatrical, I forgot, okay. Or, oh, I forgot, I should record my voice and compare it to the video. So these are things that will help you forever. So watch this a lot, as much as you need, and have fun.
Which of the techniques that we talked about are you most excited to try? Practicing both sides of a conversation, practicing in front of a mirror, recording yourself and comparing your audio to a video clip, visualizing while telling a story, or speaking theatrically. Whichever one you pick, try it right now. Before you continue, pick your favorite one and let's do it.
Now, something that you definitely need to think about is your budget. And when I say budget, I mean for both time and money. So if you have money for English learning, really think about what's best for you. Is it buying a course? Is it doing it through an online school, an in-person school? Maybe you don't have a lot of time, and if you buy that, you won't attend it, and then you're wasting your money and you're also feeling discouraged. So if you have time, do that. If you have less time, maybe figure out a plan with an online teacher. Maybe you can do once a month, once a week. And with your daily practice, you'll have enough to work with them. Because the thing about having an online teacher is, I really believe it's up to you in order to get the most out of it. So when I was taking online classes for French, I found that all of the teachers were great, but I felt frustrated because they were just teaching me general things, which is what they're supposed to do when they don't have feedback. What would have been more effective, or what is more effective, is when I prepare, when I know, okay, now that I've prepared, I know that I'm having a hard time talking about maybe shopping, and I'm going to France next year. So then I would ask the teacher, I really want to practice shopping vocabulary, but I want to practice a dialogue. Can you help me? So then in that hour, I get what I couldn't get on my own, and that's having a conversation with a native speaker in real time. That is worth the money. So if you are going to go the online teaching route, I absolutely recommend to create your own plan and then share it with them. And they'll help you. They'll say, okay, that's a good plan. Maybe I would recommend doing it in this order. Or how do you feel about doing this kind of activity? If they recommend activities that you don't like, it's your money. Tell them. Trust me, they'll be okay with it. And any teacher who's not might not be the right teacher for you. So shop around. Now with time, you need to be realistic. Look at your schedule. Maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, you are packed. You just don't have any time at all. For those days, I want you to just do a 1-minute activity. So every day do something, but give yourself 60 seconds. Maybe Saturdays are not consistent. You know, this Saturday you have completely free. Next Saturday, you're going on vacation. The next one, you have family things. Be flexible and just plan either day by day or for the first week. Now for time, I want you to be very patient with yourself, very loving and open, because our schedules are going to be different and they're going to change. You might plan for something and then get sick. So that's why with all of the activities, I recommend having a backup plan. Have a 5, 10, 20-minute activity. Have a 60-second activity. Have one that you can do without speaking if you're sick and you're laying in bed. So you want to have things prepared so that any excuse you might have, you have your own solution. So this allows you to have success at any time. And the days that you really can't, the days that you just forget, be loving. Say, you know what? I really forgot. I need to do something today. Don't say, oh, I failed or I forgot, I'm terrible, because what that does is you have zero motivation for the next day. At that point, like, well, I already forgot yesterday. I may as well not do anything today.
Let's plan your first week. Download your weekly action plan PDF, and right now, Put a few activities that you can do every day. Remember to have a mix of 1-minute activities all the way to 20-minute activities depending on your schedule.
Now with time, I'll be honest, this is the number one obstacle. Hands down, this is the number one obstacle for me, for my learners, for everyone. And then the important thing is you have to make time and literally put it in your calendar, because if you don't, it's easy to forget, you won't want to do it, or you'll think, oh, I'll do it later. Later becomes next week becomes next month, and then you feel like you've lost a lot of the English that you've learned. So what I would recommend is, if you have a calendar, great, use it. If you don't, get one. And figure out what time works for you. Are you a morning person? Are you better in the evenings? Are you a night owl? Are you really alert in the middle of the day before lunch, after lunch? Try to pay attention to when you feel the most alert and the most open-minded, and that's probably a good time to sneak in some English. And I say sneak in because if you are at lunch and that's kind of your best time, obviously I don't want you to spend your entire lunch doing English things and not talking to people or not doing your work, but rather maybe just do 5 minutes before you eat. Or if you're going out to eat, while they're bringing out your food, do a little bit of practice. So you want to make it work for you. If you have a crazy busy schedule, then what I would recommend is figure out when you can double up. For example, if you are in the car or you have a long commute, podcasts and audiobooks are your new best friend, because that way you know you have time to do it without taking away time where you need to be productive or be present for your family. If you know that mornings are really good for you, but at work you're too busy, tie it in with a habit. When you go to make your coffee and you press the on button, the coffee takes a few minutes to be ready. Use that time and read a few quotes out loud. When you tie learning with a habit, it gives you an extra opportunity. It gives you, honestly, it makes it more likely that you'll do it, because you will always make your morning coffee. You'll never forget that. So if you have reading an English quote with that habit, you can imagine where that would be even harder to skip. So these are little ways that you can make the most of your time. If you like to exercise, that's another great one. If you're at the gym, if you're running, audiobooks, podcasts, these are all really wonderful. If you enjoy watching television, finding the right kind of English show for you can be amazing. So notice that I'm trying to tie it into what you already do. That's the best way to ensure success. If you have to take time away from your busy schedule, and honestly, it really is about the busy days. So when you know you have a lot going on, those are the easiest days to forget about English. And that's where I want you to feel the most success, because it feels good when you know you had a full day with your family, with work, with whatever, and you still made time, even if it's 30 seconds, to practice your English. These micro successes make a big difference in motivation. Another great thing you can do is set a timer on your phone, but don't set the annoying alarm. I want you to set it with a really lovely tune or your favorite English song. Make it so where you connect that alarm with something positive, because that sound is going to trigger either tension and anxiety or relaxation and energy. So even something as seemingly insignificant as the alarm makes a big difference in motivation, because you hear the song that you like, you're like, oh, okay, this is my time to practice English. So your disposition is better, you're more open to learning, and you're excited about it. You'll want to do it the next day. And my best tip for you for budgeting your time is have a B plan. In fact, have an A plan, a B plan, a C plan. Because no matter how much you want to do English, and maybe you put it in your schedule and you're doing everything that we're talking about, you're going to have unexpected things happen, because it's real life. Maybe you get sick. Maybe you have an extra thing to do when you didn't expect it. Maybe your weekend was supposed to be relaxing and it turned out to be super chaotic. So prepare for those. Have a list of activities. I would recommend organizing your resources according to time. So whatever you're planning, for the week. Maybe you make a list of resources you can use. Make sure you have a few 30-second to 1-minute activities. Make sure you have 5 to 10-minute, and then maybe something longer like 10 to 20. Remember, I don't recommend doing more than 20 minutes. You just, honestly, you lose interest, it gets boring, and very few people can do things for longer than 20 minutes and productively retain that information. So we want to keep it varied. But that way, if you have a day where you're particularly busy and you had a 5-minute activity and you're like, there's no way I'm going to do that. No problem. Relax. Just read the quote. Check out your horoscope during lunch. So when you have all of these plans done ahead of time, it becomes very easy to go with the flow. We want to make sure that your English learning plan is flexible, that it's adaptable to your real life. So now let's plan for tomorrow. Look at your calendar, or if you want to, plan for the week. Look at your calendar and figure out what time would work best for you. And remember, it could be something teeny tiny like 30 seconds, or it could be something that's 20 minutes, but put it in your calendar. If you know you're going to read a quote with coffee, put that 15-30 minute block. If your calendar is like mine, I don't think you can do less, and then just put coffee and quote. See? So that way when you see it, you're like, okay, I'll remember. Put a Post-it note by your coffee maker. Put the quote on the Post-it note. Personally, I recommend just have your favorite quote website, which I have links to in the resource page, and have that tab open on your phone all the time. So that way in the morning, prepare your coffee, click the button, check your phone, read your quote, read out loud, drink your coffee. So create a habit. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Now this does take a little bit of discipline, but it's so worth it. And the more you get into it, the less effort it takes. And when you do forget a day or you have to skip a day, don't beat yourself up about it. Just say, you know what? I forgot yesterday, or I was just lazy. Whatever the truth is, and say, okay, I'll do something right now. I'll do something today. Every day is an opportunity to start over. Don't fall into the trap of, I didn't do it yesterday, so I'll do it tomorrow. Make sure that you're mindful in the moment. Forgive yourself and move on. You're awesome. And this is going to be the rest of your life, so it's okay. And if you want something a little structured, fun, and kind of cool, sign up at EnglishChallenges.com and you'll receive my 3-day weekly challenges. Every Sunday I send an email with a calendar. Yeah, I actually make the calendar events for you. So it automatically uploads to your calendar, and you have 3 activities and a private Facebook group where all of my subscribers join and we chat about the week's topics. It's so fun, and I hope to see you there.
You already have your weekly action plan filled out and ready. Now I want you to put those things in your calendar. So right now, take a few minutes, schedule the time every day for all of the days this week that you're going to dedicate to learning English. Remember, it can be 5 minutes or 20 minutes, but this will give you a good idea of how to include English in your daily schedule.
Because this method is about real-life learning, there are no tests. However, I do think it's important to measure your progress. Number one, it just feels good. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel more confident, and it motivates me to keep going. And number two, it's important to know what's working for you and what's not. Every time you stop to assess your progress is an opportunity to think, I really am terrible at this skill. I should practice that a little more. Or, wow, I can talk more about this topic. Great, good for me. It's important to take time to do this, and something I want you to remember is that when you're a beginner, the progress is much more noticeable. You know, it's like when you have short hair, you see when it grows. It feels like your hair grows faster. It feels like you're learning English faster because you're going from nothing to something. Once you hit the intermediate level and advanced and so on and so forth, it becomes harder to feel the progress. It's like when you have long hair. You feel like, God, did my hair stop growing? It didn't, it's still growing. You just don't see it as much because it's not as obvious. But it's important to appreciate and build on the subtle growth. So I'm going to give you some tips as to how you can do that. So a couple of things that I recommend doing are re-watch an old episode of a TV show, or re-watch a movie you've seen, or reread a book that you've read. Now what this does is it lets you see if it's easier. So when you rewatch it, if you can understand the episode better, when you reread the book, if you can read it a little bit faster, a little bit more fluidly, then these are great signs of progress. And if you don't want to reread the entire book, maybe just read chapter 1. You want to compare how it felt when you read it the first time and then a year later or a few months later. And this is a nice way to gauge if you have or if you feel like you've made progress. If you do, awesome. Pat yourself on the back and try something different. If you don't feel like you've made progress, then question why. Is that book too hard? Maybe it was too hard back then. Are they speaking too fast for your level in that TV show? So maybe your next TV show should be something where they speak a little slower. This allows you to reevaluate the resources that you're choosing. Sometimes you think something's a good idea. When you go and check it again, you realize, oh, it's not that I'm not getting better. It's that I picked something that was too advanced. Okay, no problem. We'll pick something else. Another thing you can do is do a 1-minute assessment. You set the timer and you pick a topic. For example, family. You set the timer, 1 minute, and then for 1 minute, talk about family without stopping. Now this will feel a little unnatural at first, but it gets easier. And what this helps you do is at the end of the minute, you can think, okay, was I able to talk about that topic well? If not, is it because I don't know the words? Or is it because I know the words, I just don't really know how to put them in sentences that are interesting? Or maybe, I don't know that I would do that in my native language. So if that's the case, if you don't know if you would do that well in your native language, pick a different topic. Assess yourself differently. And keep doing this. Maybe check in on yourself once a week or once a month. And the more that you are able to do this 1-minute challenge better, the more you'll feel motivated. You'll see the difference. And it also helps you plan for the next week. If you talk about your family for a minute and you think, okay, that was pretty good, but my sentences were kind of basic, like, I have a mother, I have cousins, my family is beautiful. And you think, I want to do better. The next week, you focus on family vocabulary. Maybe you read articles about families, stories about families, and that way the next time you'll have the inspiration, you'll have used the proper resources to develop that conversation. I recommend using topics for your 1-minute challenge that you would talk about with small talk, conversational topics. Typically that's going to be family, the weather, travel, your hometown. These are topics that the more you can develop, the easier it will be for you to converse with native speakers because you'll be able to listen to them more and not worry about what you're going to say because you've already practiced it. So little things like these can go a long way. They help you stay motivated and they help you really feel that you're making progress. And when you're not, just say, okay, I did it. Now I'm going to get better. Remember, always tell yourself beautiful, positive things because you're awesome. And learning a new language takes work. And the fact that you're brave enough to do it, I mean, I'm proud of you and I probably haven't even met you.
3 simple ways to measure your progress. Rewatch a show or a movie. Reread a book that you've read. If either of these have not gotten easier, it might be time to reevaluate your resources. And finally, you can do a 1-minute speaking assessment. In the next section, I give you worksheets and I tell you step by step how you can do this kind of assessment, as well as several other activities to make sure you're having fun and you're making progress. The number one thing I recommend for you is to subscribe at EnglishChallenges.com, which is my website, because I send out 3-day challenges every Sunday. So I believe in daily activities, and what I did, since I know how hard that is, and by the way, this is all free, on Sundays you get an email from me with something like this, which is a PDF, and we have different topics, everything from pets, business negotiating, pizza slang. It's super random, and it's all meant to help you get a well-rounded approach to English, but you focus on one topic every week. So imagine doing this, you have 3 days planned for you. All you have to do is plan the other 4 days, and they can be the 1-minute challenge, reading a horoscope, all of the other activities that I share with you in this course. So let's take a look at what we do here. So for the pets activity, I make a PDF that's writable. So here you get the skill you're reinforcing, what I have for you. It's a link to a video or an article, and then a little writing prompt. So then here you can keep track of all these and you can download and save the PDF. So later you can look at your writings and compare and see if you've gotten a little better. So you write down the answers, and then usually there's a prompt to share something on Facebook. I have a private group for my English Challenges subscribers, and every week I post one of these activities from the challenge. So not only are you learning new things, you're applying your new language, then you go to the Facebook group and you meet people and you have something to talk about. So if somebody says their favorite pet is a dog and they include a picture of their dog, you can comment like, oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. I have 2 cats, and send them a picture as well. So we share, we have fun, and this is a great way to have 3 out of 7 days already planned for you for free. So I highly recommend it. Check out the link in the video notes and sign up today. One of my favorite activities is the 1-minute challenge. I love this activity because it's 1 minute. So the simplest form of this can be done on your busiest day. The other reason that I love the 1-minute challenge is because it's a way to assess your progress. With this method of lifelong learning with no tests, it's still important to understand if you're getting better or if you feel more confident with your English. And the third reason is the more intricate version of the 1-minute challenge can also be used for development and growth. So I'm going to show you all of this. The first thing you need is a timer. So I literally went to Google, typed in timer, and here's the automatic one. You can use a timer on your phone or any of the other timers that pop up. You click here, 1 minute. Now you need a topic. I recommend picking a topic that you're actually going to use. Common small talk topics are weather, vacations, family. If you're using English for work, you can do something about business, maybe mergers or the meeting this Saturday. Whatever it is you need, this is very flexible. You click start, and for 1 minute, you just talk. You talk about that topic. Now, if it's a topic that you're very comfortable with, you should have no problem just talking for a minute about it. For example, if it's about the beach, you could talk about how much you love being in the sun and how you want to go to Miami soon because you heard they have great beaches. And one time you went to Pensacola and it was pretty cool, but you heard Miami's even better. So as you can see, you can go anywhere with this. It can be your personal experiences or the topic in general. Now, if you're doing the simplest version of this, that's it. You just do that, and then the next time you do it again, you're able to see how well you're doing. If you're able to talk the whole minute with no difficulties, great. If you do have some trouble, then you can think about why. Is it because you didn't have enough vocabulary? Or is it because you had the words, you just didn't know the sentence structure, or you didn't feel good talking about it? Were you really tired or stressed? Oh, then you can think, oh, is my English worse when I'm stressed? So you start making these connections that allow you to grow your confidence and address weaknesses. Now, let's say you want to take this to the next level. You can record yourself for a minute and then listen to yourself and the recording and see, okay, how is my pronunciation and my fluency? Now let's go back to the PDFs because I'm going to show you a different way to do the 1-minute challenge. So still using the timer, you can use this for idea generation. So let's pull this one up. We'll go here first. So for example, for the beach, here we have the topic in the middle. Now related ideas, that's mostly going to be vocabulary that's directly related. Verbs, nouns, adjectives. And the next ring is for the higher level learning. It's also that's what you're really going to use in real life conversation. No one's going to say, do you like the beach? And you're going to say, yes, I love the sand. I wear sunscreen. My goal is to help you push through that. And I want you to prepare. So here you can do memories. For example, your family vacation in Cancun that you would like to learn how to surf. Notice here I'm doing memories that I had, things for the future. Shake it up. Don't tie yourself to the immediate thing in your brain. Try to think outside the box. The more you do this, the more comfortable you are with spontaneous conversation. which will help you feel more natural and feel more confident when you have these situations in real life. Now, the other form that I have here for you, this one's to identify what to study, what to review. So you set the timer for a minute. The topic in this case was food. So I'm like, I want to see if I can talk about food. I set the timer, and then you come up with nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So this is different than the first approach because it's more strategic. At the end of the minute, I notice, oh, okay, my verbs and nouns are pretty decent, but man, I cannot think of any adjectives. So now you know where to invest your time. Whether it's that day or another day, what you do is you find resources to strengthen your food adjectives, which is way less overwhelming than studying everything to do with food. For example, here we could go to the resources page that you have access to, and I actually have an adjective section, and the first two are food. So let's take a look at them. This one I like because it's more for advanced, maybe upper intermediate. And I love that it has the words and examples. So then you know, oh, okay, lemons are tart. This makes it easier for you to remember. I don't want you to memorize the definition. I would rather you make the connection with the examples. Now this one, the second link, is different. There are no examples, it's just the words. So this is good for more specific development. And you can use this like, okay, crispy. If you need to look it up, that's fine, and think, oh, I love crispy fried chicken. So notice I'm not repeating the definition, I'm making a connection with my memory. Now going back over here, now that you've done that, you've identified, you've grown the different things that you associate with the topic. You've identified specifically where you need to strengthen your skills, then set the timer again, and now talk. So now that you've done those other steps, you'll have more material fresh in your mind to talk about. So then you need to work on how do you use all of that information and get the sentences out. It'll probably feel frustrating at first if you're not used to this, and those 60 seconds in the minute may feel like an eternity. But as you get better, it'll feel faster, and that's the goal. You want it to feel really effortless. Now, if you wanted to sit down and do this back to back, you could set the timer, do it verbally. Set it again, do this first form. Set the timer again, do the next one. Take 5 minutes to review things that you found online to address your weaknesses. Set the timer again, and do the verbal one. So within 20 minutes, your transformation is significant. Even if you just did this the 1 minute, that being done consistently once a week, once a day, makes a big difference. If you need more drastic results, you do this form where you do the different activities back to back, 20 minutes max, and you come out of those 20 minutes really feeling good about a specific topic. Okay, so this is how you use the 1 minute challenge. I hope you're as excited as I am because it's so tailored to you. You don't talk about topics that don't matter to you. You get to pick whatever is real and valuable for you in your life. Okay, go practice. One thing that I talked about was how we need to stop memorizing vocabulary and start using them by creating connections that help you remember them on a personal level. That way, instead of having to recall things that you memorize, you're able to just remember. Wouldn't that be so cool? So if you've never experienced that, you're about to. I'm going to teach you how. There are many different resources you could use. One that I like to use is the website Quizlet. So right now, if you have never heard of Quizlet or you don't have an account, pause the video, go sign up for free, and then let's do this together. So now that you're back, the reason I like Quizlet is because it satisfies two different kinds of people. And what I mean by that is for those of you who are more academically inclined and want more structure, there are features like the writing features, the test, the matching. So these are things that if you need more structure, this will help you and allow you to learn in the way that's comfortable for you. Those of you who maybe don't really care or weren't good students or those methods just don't work for you, they have games. I think matching is a pretty cool visual way. Flashcards. And if you have the app, you can review the flashcards on your commute to work if you're not driving or when you're just hanging out at home. Now I'm going to show you two examples that I already made for you. One is about prepositions, how you can use these flashcards for prepositions, and another one is for vocabulary. So let's check out the flashcards so you can see what I mean. Okay, so here, let's start with the vocabulary word, parched. Number one, I love this word. Number two,
Parched.
it has the audio for you. On occasion, it'll be wrong if you're trying to review slang. So in that case, it's one of the few exceptions where it might not pronounce something correctly, but in general, it's a great asset. Now, instead of remembering, okay, parched means extremely thirsty. That's great if you're taking a test, but not for real life. So what I want you to do is, on the other side, write a personal example. So let's say you run every morning, or that's something that you love to do. Now we're going to connect the word parched to a physical activity, a habit, a memory. So you don't have to think about extremely thirsty. You're going to actually visualize yourself. After your morning run, you're drenched in sweat and all you want is that cold glass of water. So now parched is connected to a feeling, an emotion, a memory. And that's how you can use this method to learn new vocabulary. Now, for those of you who just feel more comfortable, if you have the definition, look, I added it here. Be flexible. Learn how you like to learn and incorporate that as well. Just don't memorize. Parched means extremely thirsty. Have this here as kind of your comfort, if you will, or just to check your understanding. But your goal is to create personal sentences. All right, next one let me go back. For the preposition. Now the word to, it's so tiny and yet so powerful because we use it in so many different ways. But let's say you've noticed that you usually use the wrong preposition when it's about talking about a destination, a location. So here we're going to practice to as it is used as a preposition of place. Now instead of memorizing that, like to is used for destinations or locations, what you're going to do is you're going to connect that with sentences. Now I love travel. So here I gave myself a little hint that when I'm reviewing this, use the word to about travel. Now let's look at some of the examples that I have. I am in love with Paris. So anything to do with Paris, I'm more likely to remember. So think about what are things that you love or not necessarily love. It could just be something that you do. Maybe it's going to work. And so you want to connect it to an emotion, a memory. So here, I want to go to Paris next year. Notice that I capitalize the preposition. Now this is not grammatically correct. When you're writing it, don't capitalize it. But when you're reviewing it, it distinguishes that I'm trying to remember this, to Paris, and not the infinitive to go. So this will help you also if you're a visual learner. And I keep talking about what kind of learner you are, and there's a way that you can find out. So if you check the resources page, there are a few quizzes that I linked on how to find out what your learning style is. And that can make a big difference in how efficient you are with your studying and prepping. Okay, so the next one, have you ever been to Paris? This is awesome because travel comes up in small talk conversation a lot, whether you're chatting with someone you met online or you're traveling and talking to people. So I'm using sentences here not only to help me remember to as a preposition of place, but also with questions that I could see myself using. The last one, my sister went to Paris last summer. So this is true, and I get to remember that, and now I connect the preposition to with Paris and my sister. So you transcend just the direct memorization, and you incorporate it as it should be into real life. So these are two examples of how you can use the Quizlet sets. When you go to Quizlet, if you're not sure how to get started, it's this up here, create. And of course, as they update the website, that might change, but you're looking for something similar to this where it says create. And yeah, that's it. So these are a few different ways you can do it, including a resource. No excuses. Go do it. One of my favorite resources for casual English is BuzzFeed. I love their quizzes, which I'm going to show you here, as well as their YouTube channels. They actually have a few. Each channel is for a different topic, and they're really entertaining. They're just very real life topics. I hate to say this because it makes me sound so old, but it's definitely very young English. They use a lot of slang and expressions that are popular right now. Now let me show you how you can use the quizzes to help you improve your English. So the first thing I would recommend is pick a quiz that sounds interesting to you. If you want something that's English oriented, they also have a surprising number of these that I personally love. So even as a native speaker, I'll take these just for fun. So in this one, it's about memes, which I just absolutely am obsessed with them because they make me laugh. So here they're asking you to correct. So copy edit this rabbit's remarks. So that means pay attention to the punctuation and what is the correct way. So we have 4 choices. I'm just going to pick blindly. And so I was incorrect. So what this does for me now is I can observe, okay, what's the difference? So after said, before a quote, we need to use a comma. Awesome. Honestly, that was more valuable than taking an entire grammar lesson. You'll probably remember this better. And there's an explanation. So if you want to know why, I would recommend, if you can, read this stuff out loud. That way you get speaking practice in addition to grammar practice. Let's do one more just because I'm curious. So here, which response to dog uses correct grammar and punctuation? So hello, yes, this is dog. So here we have some more options. Again, I'm just going to pick whatever one. Okay, awesome. I picked incorrectly again. And here I can read why. So notice how it's still grammar, but it's brought to you in a real life way. Memes. And it's written by people who are not English instructors. So this gives it a more casual feel, which can be very fun, a little bit lighter. Now they have quizzes for everything, by the way. So here I'm going to show you one that I think is great for vocabulary development. So this one is about designing the aesthetic bedroom of your dreams. So number 1, I love the word aesthetic. If you're not sure what it means, first try to think about what it means in this context and then look it up in a dictionary if you're still not sure. No problem. Now the first ones are just pictures, which are quite frankly entertaining. But of course you have here bed, for example. Pick a bed. You're learning the words you can use there. Bedding. So you make sure that you know what that means. And again, here you can just look at the pictures. What's the context? What could bedding possibly mean? And then as we go further down, there are a little more options with words. So a wall of faux flowers. So notice this looks like faux. Unless you're French, you probably pronounce it that way. It's actually a word that English borrowed from French, so it's pronounced faux. So here, look at this and think, what could faux mean? They're on the wall, so they're probably not real. So maybe faux means fake. And you can look it up to confirm, and indeed, faux means fake. So again, here, you just are learning more about how to describe things that are around you through the form of a quiz. So now you can think about, shelves. These are called floating shelves. Do you have floating shelves in your house? Do they have these at your work? So this is how you can use quizzes as a fun, quick way to increase your vocabulary and your comfort level with modern English. Okay, go check out BuzzFeed right now and take a quiz. Have fun. One of my favorite resources for fresh daily content is your horoscope. In this case, I use the website horoscope.com, so very simple, and I really like their layout and the vocabulary they choose. Other websites can use words that are a little more complicated. So far, this is my favorite. Now, when you go here, let's see what Gemini has going on. You go to your sign, or anyone's to be honest, it doesn't matter, this is for English practice, and look, it's one simple paragraph, and if you look down here, we have other topics. So if you want to practice more money vocabulary, or if you want to talk about career, you have more options if you have more time. Now, if you don't have a lot of time, I would love for you to read the paragraph twice. Once silently, because it will help you appreciate the sentence structure, understand using context. Then the second time, I want you to read it out loud, but I want you to be very theatrical, high energy. For example, when you read it to yourself, it might sound like this. Praise you may receive this morning could make you feel on top of the world. So now that you know what it says, when you read it out loud, pretend like you're on TV. Drama. Praise you may receive this morning could make you feel on top of the world. It's so silly and it will feel silly, but when you speak, especially in real life to native speakers, we tend to feel more nervous and more reserved. So if you practice your English at a more energetic level, when the time comes for you to use it in front of people, it will be more natural and it will be at a higher energy, which will make you sound more confident. And the great thing about using horoscopes, you can do any sign to increase your, knowledge or vocabulary. Let's check out what the career says. Here it'll probably be more business-oriented vocabulary. For example, neatly laid out and planned. That's amazing. I love that phrasing. Be prepared. It will work out. So these are awesome things to expose yourself to different topics. And you don't have to go to different places. So it's all, you can probably put this on your phone. Maybe there's an app. If you're not using this website, just check the content that you choose, that it's real life English and not some kind of antiquated English or overly complicated. Okay, good luck. So now I want you to go to horoscope.com or whatever your preferred website is and read your horoscope for today. I hope it's good.
For the bonus section, I wanted to address some of the most frequently asked questions that I get from learners. For example, one of the questions I get is, do I need to live in an English-speaking country in order to become fluent? So my answer is no, you don't have to live in an English-speaking country to become fluent. Does it help? Sure, it can if you're self-motivated. Do you need to? Not really, especially with technology. You can join groups online, you can take online classes, you can do a meetup and get a group together who wants to practice English. Personally, I have been in French-speaking countries for months, and sometimes I've improved my French, sometimes I haven't. It really depends on your effort. So if you can travel, awesome. And if you can't, it doesn't mean you won't be fluent. You can totally still reach the level of fluency that's comfortable for you. Another question I get is it bad to use a dictionary or to translate? The answer is no. I know a lot of people say use an English to English dictionary, but for me, I like seeing the word in my native language. So when I'm studying a different language, it helps me. So as long as you're not using it for every single word, I would say use it sparingly. But if there's a concept that you're not understanding and there's a resource available that allows you to use your native language to further your understanding, great, use it. Like anything else, just don't make it a crutch. Don't make it something that you need every time. But if it helps you for something specific, yeah, I say translate. Oh, the next one. Am I too old to study English? I hear so many people say, oh, I'm older, or it's so much easier as a child. No, it's not. You just don't have a choice. When you're a baby, you don't have any preconceived notions of language, so you're just learning as you go. If you learn a foreign language as a child, you have to show up to class. You have to use it. If you move to a new country as a child, you don't have a choice. You either learn the new language or you'll never fit in. As an adult, we're more mindful of choice. We get to make more excuses. It's more about us being self-motivated, which is hard when you work a full-time job. Maybe you have a family and then you have to go to class. So it's a different situation. It's not that it's harder, it just takes a different kind of effort. But I have seen people of all ages learn a new language, so it's totally possible. Next is for parents. I have a lot of parents who tell me that they don't want to teach their children English because they don't want their kids to pick up on their bad accent. And what I have to tell you is, oh my gosh, do not even worry. I promise you, your child will be speaking English better than you in no time. The most important thing is to give them exposure. It's also good practice for you. Watching cartoons, watching kids programming is just a different way to expose yourself to English. And I promise you, teaching your child bad English, and I say bad because it's what my students have told me, is better than no English. They will learn it better than you. They will fix it. They will improve just like you will. So don't be afraid to teach your child whatever you know, however you say it. Another good one is, what is the best English to learn? American, British, Australian. And that is totally need-based. If you're living in England, learn British English. If you love American pop culture and you're traveling to the US, learn American English. There's no better one. There's only the better one for you. And finally, the last thing that people really worry about is, what if they laugh at me? What if I say something wrong? Let me save you the mystery. They will laugh at you because it's funny. Sometimes when we say things in a different language, we say the wrong thing and it's really funny, or it has a totally different meaning. Or maybe they're laughing because you said something in a really cute way. So my tip to you is, don't be nervous. Assume they're laughing because they think it's cute or amusing. And then just ask. Say, ooh, did I say something wrong? So be okay with it. Expect someone to laugh and know that they're not laughing at you. They're probably just laughing at something that you said, and you can clarify and learn from it. And sometimes those moments where you say something funny become memorable and could be the foundation of a new friendship. Okay, so those are some of the questions that I get. The last thing I want to share with you in terms of tips is be prepared for the unexpected. For example, you know that you're going to lose your train of thought at some point, where you forget what you're saying. You know you're going to not understand someone. So have some backup phrases ready. Anytime you forget what you're saying, just say, oh, you know what? I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Or I lost my train of thought. Let's talk about something else. Another good one is if you're telling a funny story and people don't laugh, maybe you didn't express it properly, maybe they didn't think it was funny. The thing that will save you and make the conversation less awkward is say, I guess you had to be there. I guess you had to be there. So what that does is the other person relaxes and they're like, okay, I didn't get the humor, no problem. And you just move on. And of course, the typical, can you please repeat that? I will say this, I highly recommend being specific and saying, can you please repeat that slowly? If the problem is they spoke too fast, make sure you say the word slowly. Otherwise, if you say, can you please repeat that, they'll say it again equally as fast. So you want to be specific with what you need. And if you understood part of it, repeat the part you understood so that the other person knows to repeat the other part better. For example, oh, you said something about the closing time. Could you please repeat the hour? So then they know that you missed the number. So it helps you get the information that you want more effectively. Congratulations, you did it. You finished the course. Now you have a plan that is custom, that is tailor-made for you, for your needs, for your personality. So I want you to touch base with that plan once a week, once a day, once a month, whatever you need. And remember to keep track of your progress. So in the PDF, I have a bar for every month. There, I want you to write what you did, only the successes. So what this will do is if you know that you have to fill something in, it helps you with accountability. It helps motivate you. Maybe when you're having a lazy day, you think, oh, but it feels so good to write something in that box. Okay, I'll practice a little bit. So these little forms of accountability are really great to ensure success and motivation. And if you ever lose your way or you're feeling unmotivated or a little bit lost, just watch this course again. This is for you. Watch it as many times as you need. Look at the activities. Do whatever you need to do to find that motivation again. You're not alone. I'm here with you. I am so excited that you trusted me and that you let me join you on this journey in this adventure of language learning. Learning a language is not easy, but it is fun. And when it's not fun, that means you need to change it up. You've got this. You're not alone. You are awesome. And I can't wait to see you in the next course.